Hello and welcome to Coming to New England. My name is Evan Pacheco and my guest today is my grandmother. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
All right, so what is your full name?
Beatrice Pacheco.
All right, and when and where were you born?
Pacheco, Rhode Island.
Okay, what was the most significant event that happened to you in your life and why?
Well, I'd say World War II changed everything in my life.
Really? Who was in World War II that you know?
My husband and my brother served.
Okay, so Pa. So how long did Pa serve in World War II?
He served 10 years.
10 years, wow. How old was he during the war?
Well, he started 17, he retired, well, he was led when he was 27.
Okay. And what was Pa's full name?
Dennis Pacheco.
Okay. And what did Pa do during World War II besides fighting?
Well, he was a torpedo man, first class. Third class first, then he worked up to first class. You get more money that way, so.
Really? Okay. What was a typical meal at home during the war?
We liked anything with pork or ham, potatoes, cabbage, that kind of thing.
Really? Okay. What rank was Pa in the war?
Torpedoman first class.
Torpedoman? Okay. Okay. What kind of weaponry did Pa use?
Torpedoes, the weapons.
Okay. How did he react if he came into enemy lines or if he had to confront an enemy?
Well, I mean, you had to do your job and you had to make sure that, the torpedoes were put in correctly. And he did it with ships, airplanes, submarines. He did a lot with the submarines.
Really?
In fact, his ship would have maybe 5 or 6 submarines ready to be treated every day. And they went out and did their jobs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what were their views on death and people dying? Well, what was Pa's views on it?
Well, he didn't like it. He didn't like using torpedoes. So they said, I work on that. I work on something that will kill someone else. And they weren't used to it because when they went in the Navy, they had only just went to high school and played football. They didn't even know what a gun was at the time, and they had to be trained. In fact, his officer, when he took them out on patrol, gave Pa a machine gun, and Pa said, "I don't know what to do with it." His instructor said, "Put your finger on the trigger, keep it there, and we'll hope for the best." That's the way it was, because nobody was that well trained. But he was a nervous wreck with it.
What happened when Pa had to save someone in war?
Well, he one was a boy that had appendicitis, and they were talking on the bridge, and he passed out. And my husband picked him up and took him downstairs to where the medics were. Mm-hmm. And they asked Pa, was he good if they operate on him, was he able to watch it? And he said, sure, But the minute that they used the knife, Pa passed right out. But everybody got out all right, yeah. But he saved his life, and he always credited Pa with that, because he didn't know what was wrong with him. He wasn't going to try to revive him, so we took him down to the medics.
Right, right. What kind of medals did Pa receive?
Well, Pa got the good conduct, that type of thing, and...
I think he received the Purple Heart, didn't he?
No, he didn't. He was not wounded in the war, no.
Oh.
That's one thing good about working a torpedo. You didn't get involved in that type of thing too long.
All right, what significance did Pa's tattoos have to World War II?
He wasn't supposed to get them because his father was the old Portuguese man, and they got him drunk one night and they put tattoos on his arm. Luckily, they put Our Lord of the Cross. Because when he woke up and saw it, he said, boy, if I didn't have that, when I get home, I'd get killed by my father. But his father, as long as it was our Lord's cross, he let it go, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But he said, like his friend said, you can't be a sailor and not have a tattoo. That's the way it is, you know.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so what kind of countries did Pa visit during,
Well, he went
during the
to,
war?
they were going to North Korea, and they went to southern, I think they were worried about the Germans with their U-boats, because they were always patrolling that area before the war. And everybody was worried that maybe they would be attacking our cities on the side. And, but he just went with his ship wherever it went, and they'd go to the battle areas, but they're not really in the middle of the battles, you know, which was good. And he loved visiting. The entertainment business was wonderful to the servicemen in the war. And you could go to the stage door canteens, and you would have movie stars, Betty Grable or something, or somebody sitting there have a drink with you. And my husband thought that was wonderful, because when he saw the movie stars in the movies, he actually sat down and talked to them. And he told me that one time, Bob Hope and Jerry Colonna and Francis Langford did a big show at his base. And when they were there, Bob Hope took 7 of them and put them on the side of the stage. And he said, when Frances finished singing, you all go up and shake her hand. But I want the last sailor going up, give her a good pat on her behind. And I'm going to go, wow. And that's exactly what Dad did. He says he hit her good, and Bob Hope yells, did you see that? The American sailor will always be the same, thank God, you know. But my husband felt pretty good about it, you know, and Francis would come over and give him a little, you know, on the cheek. He thought that was wonderful, you know. And all those shows they did, they treated the servicemen just beautifully, you know. Had James Stewart and Pat O'Brien, you know, and all those that you saw in movies. You actually could talk to them. And they were all wonderful. He says there's not one that was not a wonderful man and the girls were beautiful, like Lana Turner, and you just sit and look at them, much less, you know. And they figured they were 17, 18, 19, they thought it was wonderful, you know.
All right. How is the world different today than it was when you were a child?
Well, I think it's a lot tougher on the young people today. I mean, it costs so much to go to school. Years ago, if you went, you know, you worked your way so much and went back. But now you can borrow money from the government, but at the end of that 4 years, you've got a whopping bill that has to be paid. And it holds the poor kids back, I think, from setting out as good as they would have ordinarily. Mm-hmm. And it's sad for that, because I think the kids today are very interested in education. Of course, ours were too, but I mean, so much is going on today that you need the young people well educated.
All right. What world events had the most impact on you while you were growing up, like besides World War II and whatnot?
Well, I think more, the wars had a great deal to do with it. When in North Korea, when they had, I forget his name, that was the general that went right through North Korea, was in Singapore. And the president called him back because England loved Singapore and all that. And if they had stayed the way it was, we would have North Korea as part of South Korea today. But sometimes politically, that's what's done, you know. Mm. And I know my brother told me when he was aboard the USS Massachusetts, he had Roosevelt come aboard his ship. They took him to the treaty at Yalta, and he met the big three. Roosevelt Stalin and Churchill with his big cigars. He thought that was something. That was a big thing for all young people because we didn't know anything. You went to a movie on Sunday, and then when this war started, you learned to use a weapon, you learned to leave home. There was nobody on the, young people on the streets at all, Everybody was in the service,
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot came back and a lot didn't come back,
Right.
So that kind of changed everybody. And then the Korean War was another bad one, because they weren't properly trained in either. In fact, they used to laugh that when the World War started, they'd take the college kids and put them in this school for 3 months, trained them to be an officer. And the enlisted men called them the 90-day wonders because they were second lieutenants when they came out,
Yeah. So how would you define the American dream?
Well, I think that the education is the best. I think the young people are tremendous. I think they're interested in everything today, which is wonderful. They have more, I think the thing with the dream is going to take longer because it costs so much to get the education they want. The big schools. Years ago, there were a lot of scholarships given, but I don't think you see that as much now. But the kids are still anxious to do it. You got to give them credit for it.
Right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the interview today, Grandma. Thank you very much.
I enjoyed it. It's the best thing I've done in a long time.
All right. So this is Evan Pacheco, and you have been watching Coming to New England.